Hi everyone, it's AJ and welcome back to the second episode of my Doctor Strange Day videos. Yeah, Doctor Strange Day today, Wednesday, because we're only a couple of days away from the release of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So I thought that I would take a look at some Doctor Strange stuff that came before. So let's get into this video. Okay, yeah, so today I'm going to be giving you a review of the Doctor Strange movie from 2007, the animated feature, the Marvel animated feature that runs for 71 minutes. Now, my first video that I'd done earlier today, I'll leave a link in the description below, because I'm not sure where it's come up in my feed, because I may have had an issue when I uploaded it. But basically, it was a review of the 1979 movie. Yeah, the TV pilot that didn't go to series. You can go back, you can take a look at that. So yeah, in 2007, we got this Doctor Strange animated movie, Doctor Strange the Sorcerer Supreme. Now, Marvel started dabbling in the arena of animation a lot more, animated films, because DC were very, very strong with their animation. They still are today. Marvel hasn't been able to touch DC with regards to animated feature films. DC have always held on to that ball there. Marvel had the film series on, when they got to the MCU, they had that in the can. DC didn't, but DC had the animation side of things in the can. So that brings us to this one, Doctor Strange. We did have an Iron Man film that came before this. Now, this film, it follows the story of Dr. Stephen Strange. The film opens with this scene in New York with these workers in the sewers getting attacked by something, some sort of creature, and a load of sorcerers come and fight it, but yet they manage to be seen by a human who shouldn't be able to see them because of their magic. We then cut away, we're introduced to Dr. Stephen Strange, who in this is a doctor, exactly the same as what he is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's an arrogant, sort of self-centered individual who only wants to perform surgery on in the most drastic of cases, as in people that would put, that if he cures, he gets a name for himself and he makes some money and all this sort of thing. He's not very interested in these smaller cases. But yeah, another doctor comes to him and shows him that there's all these children that have been that are in this sort of comatose state of sleep, and they keep seeing visions and nightmares in their head of a flaming face and this sort of a thing. And when one of the children has an attack in this comatose state, they touch him, and he sees the face as well in their mind. And this leads to the scene where you're now on the road with him in his car, much like in the MCU version, and he sees the burning face himself coming up behind him in his rearview mirror, causing him to have an accident. And then he sort of sees the spirits of all these children, and he swerves to miss them, and this is how he goes off the cliff. It's not a random accident like in the film. It's to do with the main arc of the story, shall we say. This leads to him, having injuries and losing the use of his hands, which he relies on, and he just can't get, time passes and he can't get his hands repaired, and he loses everything, loses all his money, becomes so far down and out that he gets to the point where he attempts to commit suicide off of a bridge. Yes, this happens in this animated film. He goes to jump off this bridge. It doesn't seem to happen, and he meets up with Wong, who tells him to go to Tibet. So he makes this long journey to Tibet and up this mountain, where he comes to, the place where all the Sorcerer Supreme sits, the Ancient One. And he meets up with them and he goes through training. All the while we come to find out that obviously it's Dormammu doing all this, who's trying to break into our world. There's tensions with Mordo, who's like bad sorcerer, who like teams up with thingy at the end, and all this sort of stuff goes on. Now, my thoughts on this film. Now, the animation, I didn't mind the animation at all whatsoever. Now, it's quite interesting when I watch an animated feature, because I've seen this animated feature before a long time ago. It would have been 2007, and I haven't seen it since. This is the first time viewing it since then, so quite a considerable amount of time. There's a reason why I haven't revisited it. When I watch an animated feature, generally for the second time, like I did with this one, I go into it and I watch it in the sense of, could this pass as a live action film? Could I use this exact script and film it exactly the same way and get an interesting live action film? Because sometimes what works in animation won't translate to live action, and vice versa. Now with this film, I went in for a reason looking at it like that, because in the past this film has bored me. I say in the past because it still did. It started off pretty well, but it drags. It's only 71 minutes long, which isn't very long, hour and 11 minutes, but the whole film is essentially an origin story for the character of Doctor Strange. It's not until the last quarter of the film, or less, or 1/5 of the film, that you get any real Doctor Strange action in this. And considering that animation is generally thought of as a kid's thing, this isn't very child friendly in the sense that it would be considered extremely boring. Now, even as a main feature film of Doctor Strange, it'd be completely boring. You do see hints of the MCU in here. However, the live-action Doctor Strange done things far more interesting than what this did. Considering Doctor Strange and the visuality of it and the world that it inhabits, you would think that, in animation, it doesn't really matter what you put on the screen. It ain't going to cost your budget too much. Ain't going to make too much difference. But we don't get none of that magical feel, that sort of sense of otherworldly weirdness that comes with Doctor Strange. I mean, you do get a little bit at the very end, obviously, but for the most part, I'll be honest, this film is extremely boring, and I honestly don't think that I'll ever revisit it again. Thank God that the MCU came along with Benedict Cumberbatch version. But yeah, so anyway, so that was it. Just a quick review for this film. It was an issue that all the Marvel animated films had, certainly. Even the Iron Man one played the same route. It was an origin story, and it wanted to centre the whole story around the origin, only giving you like a little sprinkling of Iron Man at the end. And that's not what people want going into a film. They want to see the hero. They want to see that title character doing most of it. They want him in for the majority of the film. So, for me, not an animated feature that works, but there we go, it might be for others. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because in a little while, in a couple of hours, I will have another video coming up. Like I said, there's a few videos today just related around Doctor Strange, so make sure you hit the buttons and watch them. This is AJ, take care all, and goodbye.